Right, Taylor, how you doing?
I am doing all right. How are you, man?
I'm good. I can't complain. Congratulations on Death by Rock and Roll and not one but two number one singles, which I guess you guys were just talking about.
Yeah, no, it's honestly it's mind blowing. It's like I still don't know what to say about it other than just like thank you. Like thank you for everyone who's listened. Thank you for everyone who bought the album, streamed the album, listened to it on YouTube, ripped it, like, however you listen to it, as long as you've listened, just thank you. It's incredible. So
Awesome.
um,
Well, congratulations on that. And well, you're gonna make my life easier this coming Tuesday because you're taking over my lunch.
yeah, well, I'm sorry for stealing your time, and I hope I do some justice because I'm certainly not a DJ, so I'm doing my best. But I did pick some pretty cool songs, so I hope the audience enjoys it because it's certainly music that I love.
I'm sure they will. And listen, I'm all for kicking back and putting my feet up on the desk and doing no work for an hour. It's fine by me.
Well, I'm just giving you a lunch break.
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw some of the bands that you have picked, and not to give the audience too much, of what you're going to play, but obviously we all know your love for Soundgarden,
Yeah.
and you're going to be throwing them on there. Do you remember the first time you heard a Soundgarden song and what song that was?
I get asked that a lot, and I'm not sure that my answer is ever actually accurate. Um, I definitely was in my preteen years, so I was probably like 11 or something when I first heard Soundgarden. And I believe the first song I heard was 4th of July.
Okay.
And it definitely like piqued my interest. And from then I just like, from that I went down like the Soundgarden rabbit hole of everything that is Soundgarden, and all of it is awesome, and it just gets more awesome and more awesome. And the older I get, the more I understand it and the more I like can delve into it. And if you're not a Soundgarden fan and if it doesn't click with you right away, like I would recommend giving it a second listen personally, because it's they're to me it's like the Beatles, Soundgarden. It's my bookends. So like, so I would highly recommend giving it a second chance if it's something that you have not necessarily connected to with yet.
Well, it's funny you say that. So I remember seeing Outshined on MTV back when they
Okay.
used to play videos, and I was like, and I come from the '80s, and I'm like, what is this voice? And he was menacing in the video. There's fire behind him, and like, but I didn't really I didn't dive into it. Where I dove into Soundgarden is when I discovered Audio Slave. I knew all the hits and I liked them; they were cool and everything. But I fell in love with the first Audio Slave record like nonstop for like a year,
Well,
and that made me go back and discover all the Soundgarden stuff I didn't know. And wow,
no, I mean, and that's 1,000% understandable. I mean, like Audio Slave is, first of all, that first Audio Slave record is absolutely like impeccable. One of my favorite records. But to me, Soundgarden is like Soundgarden's just it's not to like I don't want this to sound like I'm insulting Audioslave because I'm a huge Audioslave fan. Obviously, like Tom Morello is on our record. Like I'm a huge I'm a huge fan. I love all their albums, but Soundgarden in particular, like they have this kind of, I don't know. There's a complexity to it, and there's layers to it that you might not understand on first listen, and that's why I say like give it a second chance. And like just because you've heard the radio singles and the hits, or the whatever you want to call them, like if you've heard Black Hole Sun, that does not sum up Soundgarden. Like it's a fantastic song, but like you really got to kind of delve into the full discography to like really get it. And when that clicks in your brain, it's absolutely just so inspiring and insane. Like the musicality, the complexity, the strangely the sensitivity almost in the lyrics. Obviously Chris's voice is like unparalleled, and we don't need to even like discuss that because everyone knows that. But like just the whole package of the four of them together it was something that was it's kind of why I equate it to the Beatles, where it's something that's so once in a lifetime, and something that's so unique. And to this day, like I'm now 27 and I've been listening to them since I was like 11 or something, and I know those records forwards and backwards and backwards and forwards, and I still every time I put on an album or put on a song, I still discover something new within it, and that is something that's something that I really appreciate about music, is something that like I really, connect to when I can listen to something at nauseum and like, years later still discover something new and still be inspired by it. And like that's something that Soundgarden has forever done for me and still does to this day. So
Nice. So a shout out last year, your jam with Matt Cameron doing Halfway There. First off, that you chose that song. We had played it here at the station, but it kind of came and went. But if you really listen to those lyrics, like, yeah, I mean, it's one of those songs like Be Yourself by Audience. Like Chris's writing was like, it was above most of the artists at the time, in my opinion.
It was a what?
Was above most of the artists of his time that he was.
Absolutely.
Hey, there's something, and I didn't really appreciate it at the time, but when now I go back and I'm like, wow, this guy was above.
Oh no, he was a poet beyond,
Mhm.
like way beyond his years and everything in between. And so that, like I think that's, part of why that loss was so huge of, losing him, is like there's no more poetry coming from him. And like, and that is something that I think that, people like the aggression of Soundgarden, and they like the, and they appreciate his voice and like all of the elements that are kind of obvious. But and and the odd time signatures and the band is obviously like just amazing. So I'm not trying to like, take away from any of that, but I think at the end of the day, like it comes down to music, to me at least, like it comes down to the song itself. And like he was a poet, and those songs, first of all, the chord structures are just like all over the place. So like I don't even know how he came up with that.
Yeah.
But then like forget even the music for a second, and like just look at the poetry of what he wrote, and it's so it's just so inspiring. It's so honest, and it's so raw, and it's so just genius, honestly, like for lack of a better term. Like it's something that will, I think, forever last the test of time. And I think like the longer people sit with it, the more you understand it. And at least that's been my experience.
Yeah. I'm going to turn it to another band, but before I move on from Chris, Temple of the Dog record, like mind blowing.
Like mind blowing.
I saw that tour twice when they did the little mini tour, including Madison Square Garden.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's so unfair.
I saw the first night at the Tower Theater in Philly. Amazing. Me and a buddy were like, when we go to Madison Square Garden, we sat behind the stage. So I had the view of the band. It's easily top 3 shows I've ever seen in my life.
Easily. I can imagine. That's amazing.
So,
I mean, just Hunger Strike alone is like disturbing. And then like, don't even get me going on the discography. Like it's just, that he was, I don't know, Chris was he was a force to be reckoned with, I guess. And dare anyone try to I don't know what the right phrase is there, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So another band you picked, Godsmack, and you were supposed to go on tour with them last year before the world shut down. Any chance that the two of you guys might go back on tour maybe in 2022? I know you postponed all your dates. And what do you think touring is going to look like when finally we get back out on the road?
Man, I honestly, I have no idea. I would love to tour with Godsmack. I'm very dear friends with them, and they're like amazing people, and I respect what they do, and I think that would be a really fun tour. It was something I was looking forward to. It obviously has gotten canceled, but like I've also heard, it's this kind of convoluted situation that we're living in right now, where like nothing is technically canceled. Everything's just being pushed and moved and postponed to at some later date. So hopefully that tour will actually come to fruition, because I think it would be a really fun one.
No, it definitely would be good. So taking over the launch Tuesday, it's May 4th, which we did a little research, is an anniversary of the Pretty Reckless doing an exclusive WMGM show right here in Atlantic City at the House of Blues. Had no idea we were planning that out. And I was actually talking with a couple listeners that I was going to be chatting with you, and they have this question, and because it was May 4th, it's the anniversary. How was the tour you went on the road with Marilyn Manson? And they were curious, what was it like touring with him? Obviously, not getting the best headlines right now. But what did you have any interaction with him on the tour?
Oh yeah, we hung out like all the time. And honestly, like, I don't want to get into what's happening currently because that's, it's not my business.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it. But I had nothing but a great time on that tour, honestly. Like, we had a lot of fun. The shows were great. He was a lot of fun. He was very funny. And I'm one who appreciates comedy. Like, I think if you're not laughing through life, then you're not living. So like, so we kind of, our maybe crude sense of humor has got along well, but like I have nothing bad to say about that. So like, I just, so I'll leave the situation that it is right now because I don't know the details and I'm staying out of it. I'll stay silent on that for now. But as far as the tour went, like, it was a really, really great experience and it was awesome.
Nice. The year before, another larger than life personality you toured with was Axl and Guns N' Roses. That was the first time I saw you live and became hooked on your live show.
Thanks.
Did you have interaction with Axl? I know a lot of times he's very recluse.
Yeah, actually, I had quite a bit of interaction with Axl, and he was awesome as well. I know I feel like I sound like I'm just repeating myself and going like, no, everyone I've toured with has been awesome, but like really they've kind of all been awesome. And Axl, in particular, like just to watch him perform every night was, it wasn't the full formed Guns N' Roses yet. Like, I mean, it was kind of his, Axl Rose version. Like Slash wasn't there and stuff. And I'm so glad that they're all back together now, which was actually a tour that we were supposed to be opening for again in 2020, and obviously that didn't happen. So I was looking forward to that. But Axl is amazing, and just to get to watch him to like perform every night and like hit those notes like with such ease, and like, I mean, it's just so impressive. Like, I would sit on the side of the stage just watching it, going like, okay, like how are you? Props to you, man. Like, you're a rock star. Like, that's what that is. So it was very inspiring, and he was just like the sweetest and the nicest, and we had so much fun on that tour. And his band at the time too was like, I got on with them very well, and like it was just a great experience, and we were looking forward to doing it again kind of in full force, and hopefully that still comes to fruition at some point in the future here.
Nice, nice. The great thing about Axl is that he had this amazing voice, obviously the '80s, early '90s, and he had lost it for a bit, and then somewhere he found it again. Because when I went and saw him with Slash and Duff and everything, I was like, that doesn't sound like the same guy the last time I saw him.
Well, that's it. No, he sounded amazing every night when we were on tour with him, and and I think that that's a thing that people have to realize is like the human voice, like. I never treat it like a sport, but like a lot of people do. Like they try to, like, I try to respect it to a degree or whatever, but like I don't really warm up, or I don't have any pre-show rituals, like other than like I put on my shoes and like my jacket, my makeup, and like, crack my hands and go, all right, let's go. Like I don't know, like I do like a, all right, let's go, let's walk on stage. And I know a lot of people have like rituals and stuff like that, but like the fact that his voice has held up, not just held up, but like I feel like it's just gotten better with age. And I think that is certainly something that I strive for. Like, as the older I get, like I just try to improve myself. And Axl was certainly an inspiration to see that, like, yeah, you can do this when you're older, and it doesn't have to go downhill. Like
I always
everyone has everyone has their like their valleys of their ups and their downs, and like I certainly have had my own, like where touring with laryngitis, or touring when I'm sick, or things like that, which suck. But at the end of the day, you power through, or if you actually physically can, because like there are those moments where like you physically like just like, I can't put on the show tonight, like I'm too ill. And so like aside from those moments, like I feel like I'm just trying to constantly better myself, and watching, I hate to say the word elders, but like, the people that I, grew up admiring, continue to do this and continue to grow and continue to be better, like in one way, even better than they were when they first started, is so inspiring, and something that I, thrive uh, and hope to do in the future. Like I hope that that's where my future leads as well.
I always say that. I say artists should just find out what Ann Wilson does with art and do what
Right?
she does, because she hasn't lost anything.
She
Like,
hasn't lost anything.
ugh,
Like, oh my God, like she's not lost a note, and I don't like, and that's, and you know what that means? That means she's doing it correctly. Like
mhm.
it's just because I found that like it's not a, you can take vocal, like I never took vocal lessons or anything like that. And you can do all that kind of training and or whatever you want to call it, but like I think at the end of the day it comes down to what you're saying and what you're trying to emote, and if you can kind of mentally go there every night, and actually kind of picture and care about what you're saying and what you're singing, then it becomes really easy, and like the rest of it just kind of fades into the background, and like, once in a while you'll flop a note or whatever, but like that's just human nature. Like it's
Mhm.
it is a voice, and it does take some care, and like once in a while I do have to drink a cup of tea or something like that,
Yeah.
but like but in general it's more about just like trying to speak through music, I guess. And like so I treat singing the same way I treat speaking. Like to me, like warming up is like just singing songs. Like I sing songs and then I'm warmed up. Like there's no
Yeah.
like ahs or like any of that stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's kind of, sing songs, and then your voice is warmed up for the day, and then you can play a show, and it's awesome.
I talked to Pete from Chevelle, and he said when he stopped being so cautious and over analyzing his voice, and he just kind of just did it, he got better. He goes, the stress
Yeah.
just left, with him watching what he eats, watching what he does here. He goes, when I stopped doing that, all of a sudden, he goes, it just became easier
Yeah,
now. So,
I certainly think when you stop overthinking it so much, it just becomes, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, because like everyone has their own ritual or their own routine and stuff, and like I would be, an ass to say like that's incorrect. It's just
yeah.
not what I do. Like, but to me, like I think that finding, it's second nature to me. Like I've always found that like music was like a language that like from a very young age I just kind of, it was like this foreign language that I always understood.
Yeah.
And it just made sense to me. And it still does. And so that's something that um I feel very lucky that I found that at such a young age, and I feel very, you know, just lucky, I guess. Like
Yeah.
I feel lucky that I figured that out, that, like I understood this language, and it's provided me with so much solace and so much hope, um and just, it's kind of like kept me going throughout my entire life. And by the way, and excuse me, I'm sorry for like all the sniffling and the it's
No
because
sweat.
I'm in Maine right now and my allergies are out of control. Like
I,
so out of control, it's ridiculous.
I didn't have allergies my entire life until 10 years ago when I moved to a street named Redwood, and it just kills me now. So
I'm
I
having
understand.
like I'm like, dude, like trying to like put on eye makeup. Like I know you're not a girl, so you don't have to deal with this problem,
But
but
I wear contacts.
okay, well,
Not
shit.
fun.
I should wear contacts because I'm blind.
Yeah.
I wear glasses, like when I have to read subtitles and stuff.
Hmm.
And I tried wearing contacts for a while, and it just like didn't work for me. I didn't like it. I never figured out the right prescription or whatever you call
Okay.
it. But my God, I'm sorry. But like trying to put eye makeup on when your eyes like won't stop watering and it just looks like you're sobbing
Yeah.
constantly. It's like it's a super challenge. So
I can imagine. So I think you sort of answered my next question. Well, sort of my the couple questions here, but obviously we were introduced to you through acting. You haven't done any acting in a long time. Do you ever get the acting bug, or has it always been music for you?
no. The acting bug, I don't know if I ever really had it. It was something, acting was something that I got put into at a very young age by my family, starting at 2 years old.
Mhm.
Um, and it was just something that, and I've spoken very like, especially in my teenage years, like I spoke very harshly about it and was very like negative towards it. And I don't feel that way. I just, the way I said things at that time came across very harshly, I guess. But no, acting was never something that I chose. It was almost like going to school. Like it was just something that I always did, and I didn't know any differently. And music was something that not only did I choose, I feel like it chose me. And like writing songs and singing and playing instruments from guitar to piano to everything in between. It was just something that I always did, but I did it for me, I guess, if that makes sense. And you can act in a film when you're 5 years old, but hypothetically, I mean, I'm sure there are 5-year-old kids who put out albums, but like in general, like that's it just seems like it's not such a great idea. Like you have to wait till you're at an age where you've written, or at least for me, where like I met the right people, and I found the right band, and not like just hiring musicians and auditioning people or anything, but like actually like organically figuring all of that out and writing records with the material that I actually wanted the whole world to hear. Because up until
Mhm.
that point, it was something that I was simply doing all the time, but it was private and it was for me. Um, and so once all those kind of pieces fell into place, it was a very simple decision for me where I just went, oh, I don't have to do this day job thing. Like I don't have to act. I don't have to do any of this. Like, oh my God, it was like this revelation that happened. And I went, well, I'm out. I quit.
Yeah.
Quit.
I think the world would love to hear
Quit.
5-year-old lyrics from Taylor. Uh,
Um, I'm sure if you Google, you can find some of it.
oh, really? Okay.
I mean, I wrote a song, like I used to, oh, I shouldn't even like bring this up because now people are going to Google it. And it's going to be embarrassing. But, when I was a child, I wrote a lot of songs, and I love animals, and I was working for the Humane Society, and like one of the first, not first songs, but like first songs I actually sang on television for news channel I was living in St. Louis at the time at the Humane Society. So there's like a snippet of it. I think it was on like E News or something, um, of one of the songs I wrote about. It was called Rescue a Pet. So, rescue a pet.
Yeah.
I still stand by the statement, but
Yeah.
I don't, but I hopefully the songs have improved since then.
Yeah. So moving on, you're going into music, Pretty Reckless and everything. Well, one listener actually asked me this, and I wasn't going to ask this, but I'll ask it. Ever mistaken for Taylor Swift? I mean, you're blonde, you're young. Do you ever get mistaken or?
No, I have never been mistaken for Taylor Swift.
Okay. Very
I
good.
mean, no offense to Taylor, the other Taylor, but or myself, but no, but I have never been mistaken for her.
And
Uh,
were you pressured by anyone when you were getting into music to? Uh, you obviously are influenced by rock bands, and you're a rocker. But was there pressure to try to make you pop? That they wanted to like make this image or whatever.
um, not yes and no. That's kind of a complicated and loaded question. I mean, I think when we formed the band when I was only, it was back in 2008, so I was like 14, turning 15. So I was young, and and going through my rebellious teenage years. And so I think there was an element of that they wanted to kind of capitalize on it to a degree, I guess. But as far as the music went, like working with other songwriters, or doing that kind of like songwriter by committee thing where there's like 10 songwriters on one song, and like
Yeah.
whatever, like all that just never interested me. Because to me, like, yes, I'm a singer, yes, I'm a guitar player, but like I also in a piano, I play a little piano and all that. I mean, I'm a musician, but to me, I'm a songwriter first. And so like, how dare you ask me to work with someone else? And so that, so the only other person that I've actually you know, at least with this band, like I worked with lots of people, you know, trying to kind of figure out my path and find where, you know, find the right people and find
Mhm.
where everything worked. But you know, none of that stuff actually ever really came to light, and I never put out. You know, so the only other person that I've ever written with is our guitar player Ben, and we're the two songwriters of the band, and that's it. And so that's kind of where I stick to it. Like so it comes down to, I'm kind of convoluting your question here, but I guess like, yes, there was, you know, there were some pressures to be, you know, kind of put into different categories of that might have been a little more simple,
Mhm.
you know, as far as like marketing and the way people saw me at the time. But to me, it was like, it was very simple of like, no, I do this because I love it and that's it. And so if you're not on board with that, then I don't want you as a part of my team. And so it was, you know, so it took a while to find, you know, the right partners, not musically, but like, I mean, well, musically as well, but, you know, but in the industry who kind of understood that and supported that vision and allowed me to be the kind of creative force behind all of it. And then just figure out how to, you know, help support that and market it, and you know, all of that stuff that comes afterwards.
Well, it's
Because
all worked out because you're doing pretty good over the last, I guess, what, 10, 12 years that you've been doing the Pretty Reckless.
it hasn't been
But
so bad. No, I mean,
no, I mean, look, five, six
there are
number
ups
one
and
rock
downs,
songs.
but it's been pretty awesome. And honestly, like I really got to thank the fans. Like I know every artist says that, and it sounds really cliche, but like I really like our fan support and like the fan base who's stuck with us through, you know, all the turmoil, the ups, the downs, the good times, the bad times, the whatever. Like they're so loyal and they're so there and so present, and like I could not be more grateful. So like I really shout out to you guys. Like
Nice, nice.
thank you.
What's the rest of 2021 look like for Taylor and the Pretty Reckless?
That's a good question, my friend. If only I was a fortune teller. I you know, I think we have a couple, we have a, you know, and so it went, the current single, featuring the amazing Tom Morello is obviously out right now and is currently number one, so which is amazing. So thank you guys. Thank you for playing it. Number one. Which is the second number one off this album, which is very bizarre to me to have now, you know, it was weird to have one, but now two number ones off of a record, and we have yet to play either of them live, for real live in front of an actual audience, and that's so bizarre. So yes, we've canceled touring just because feel like I don't feel like the world has fully healed itself yet. So we have postponed touring to 2022. But 2022, hypothetically, knock on wood as I say this, is gonna rock. And like it's gonna be super phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to that. But as far as 2021 goes, we have more singles coming out, more music videos, you know, we're we finally just got back in the rehearsal studio, and so we're like the four of us are finally like playing together again, which is like definitely necessary and something that I was like dying for. So we're finally doing that again, which is awesome because that's, you know, the first step to anything.
Mhm.
um, and so just, you know, a lot more, I don't know what does the industry call it, content.
Okay.
A lot more content coming. But you know, not full on in-person shows yet, but maybe some sort of live stream or something, because I do really want to play this record live, full force, you know, not acoustically stripped back, like, you know, full on plugged in.
We
uh,
would we would love it. It's an amazing record. I remember last year I was talking with Alice Cooper, and he goes, 2021 is going to be insane with new music, and he goes, and hopefully it'll get on the road. But I mean, we got so much great rock music, and anybody that says rock is dead, I want to throw punch them. The
yeah,
Pretty Reckless, the
wrong.
Foo Fighters record, Chevelle's new record. I can't wait for tomorrow's Royal Blood's new record. Love that band. Greta
Yeah.
Van Fleet's putting out great music. Like, it's thriving, and this one thing this lockdown and not touring has given us is time for you and your counterparts to put new music out, and that's tremendous for the music fan like me and our listeners.
Absolutely. And and not just new music, but like music videos. And like I know, like I don't know if the music, I don't know if people, is that like a Gene Simmons quote too, like the music video is dead.
I would love to watch videos, but MTV, all they play is ridiculousness.
No, I know,
Like
believe me,
90%.
I know, I miss it because like because I love making music videos because I think that I love the artistic visual expression of the song in some way. I think that you can do so much with that, and yes, they come with their challenges, especially in COVID, but like it's something that I really enjoy doing. And we have one in the pipeline coming out soon for the new single, which I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say what it is yet, but it's really, really cool.
Awesome. Listen, I grew up in the 80s, so I got MTV at a young age, and I saw Def Leppard Photograph on MTV, and it changed everything for me. It changed. I went into the hard rock direction, and I just, that video was bright and vivid, and I'm like, what is that? What is that? And like that formed my love for rock music.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, like there's moments when whether it's you hear something or you see something, but like something clicks in your brain and it like connects to you, and it changes your life forever. And I think that that's the power of music, and that's something that I'm attempting to do, especially with music videos right now, as I feel like the rock video has kind of been I don't want to say dead because that's too morbid, even though our record is called Death by Rock and Roll. But it's the rock video itself is actually kind of a complicated thing to figure out because the songs themselves, at least ours, like they shift musically so much. Like there's so much dynamic, and there's so many elements to it, and it's like, how do you capture all of that in a visual that is entertaining, because that's like the first point of a music video, and B, gets the point across and is deep and and tells the story of the song, but not in a way that it distracts the audience from the song itself, but just kind of enhances it. So like there's and flows and moves the same way the song does, like be like water, it's that kind of vibe. So like I spend a lot of time kind of conceiving of the ideas, and I pretty much I write all the treatments and direct all of the videos. So it's something that I spend a lot of time on. And this next one that's coming out is something that I'm really, really proud of, and was very complicated to do just due to COVID circumstances. And hopefully the next batch we do will be a little bit, hopefully a little easier as far as like circumstance.
Yeah. Listen, there's a young Sean or a young Taylor or a young Howard that's waiting to discover like their next new favorite band. Like, so those videos are important. Luckily, YouTube is available to everybody, so they find it there. But there was something about turning on MTV and just putting it on, and maybe you didn't like the video or the band at the time, but and same thing with radio, and I still love radio for that reason, that you don't know what the next song is going to be. Like, are they going to play my favorite song, or are they going to play the new?
It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. It's I mean, I miss old MTV. Like, granted, I'm like, if I'm being honest, I was a big fan of 16 and Pregnant when it first came out. And and Teen Mom and all that shit. But no, I miss old MTV of like where it was about the music, and like that's what that's what it was. And I feel like that has just disappeared, and now it's YouTube, which is also that's fine. Like, YouTube's cool. Like, I've got no problem with YouTube. Just make sure you like tune in to check it out, because it's like you were saying, it's like radio. Like, my favorite thing is like getting in the car and flicking through rock radio stations and just listening to what are they playing, what's on next, like what voice is the DJ playing on that day, like like all of like even like the call phrases, like all that shit, like love that. It's my favorite thing. And then the craziest thing is when you hear when you hear your song come on the radio, and it takes me like a good few, I mean, I would say like a minute, but it's probably less than that, but like it takes me a minute to be like, wait, is this on my phone? No, this is on, wait, this is on the radio station. Oh shit, this is so cool. And then you like turn it up, and it's my favorite thing in the whole world. So like,
Be honest, do you sing along? Do you sing along?
Oh, of course I sing along.
Okay.
How can you not sing along?
Yeah,
I mean, not always. I mean, sometimes I just videotape it and like post it
Yeah.
on Instagram because you know, I gotta have content now.
Yeah.
But no, but it never. My point is, it never gets old, and rock radio is the best.
Awesome. I mean, there's moments in my life I still remember running home for the MTV video premiere of a certain band or video, and like
yeah.
we don't have that anymore. And I also would turn on MTV. I'm like, oh my god, they have a new record out, because we didn't have the internet back then. So I was at the mercy of MTV or reading it in like Circus or Hit Parader magazine. Like kids these days, they don't understand the struggle that we had back in the day.
I don't even know if it was a struggle. And one way I feel like it was like a pure way to get music. Like now, like access is so immense, and it's so like kind of, I don't know, it's just everywhere. Like everyone kind of is always asking me like, you know, are there any new bands you're listening to? Or is there any, I'm like, honestly, I don't even know where to turn. Like, it's so overwhelming. There's so much stuff being thrown at you constantly that like, how do you even like, you know, decipher and like get, you know, weed through any of it?
Information overload.
Yeah, exactly. And also everything I feel like is very fleeting. Like, you know, we live in a very like single based world where it's, you know, a song comes out and like the next week another song comes out and another song, and you know, and it's like, to me, I still, you know, call me old school or whatever you want, but like I love the album because I think that it, you know, it really encapsulates a time period in an artist's life, and I think that that's something that, you know, is really important. And if you give it the grace to actually listen to, you know, the album from front to back, and I'm not just talking about my own, I'm you know, speaking of Pink Floyd and the Beatles and, you know, Soundgarden and every Who, and you know, like every band in between. Like it's that album, like you can't just like you can pick your favorite songs because like everyone has favorite songs, but you can't really, because like it's the body of work that really kind of showcases the artist and showcases where they're at that moment in time. And I think that that's so important, and we're living in such a fast-paced society right now that like I feel like that gets lost. And I think that it's actually kind of a, not to totally change topic, but I kind of think it's an interesting way to put out an album in quarantine, because there's no one has anything else to do other than to listen to records. And so I think that you know, kind of benefits us a little bit, I guess, in one way. Like if you give it the grace to listen to it from front to back, like it will take you on a journey like a film does. And I think that that's something that has been lost on this younger generation, and I hope that, you know, that can not come back necessarily, because I also enjoy streaming. Like, believe me, like I don't always put on vinyl, but when I do, it's an experience, and it's something that I think everyone should experience at some point in their life.
You were going to bring my point up, like skipping a song on a CD was easy. Your MP3, you can do it, but back in the day, cassettes and vinyl were not easy to skip. You're like hitting the tape to try to hit the song perfectly, or you start scratching the record trying to find a thing. I was big on just.
Hey, you like my ringtone? Sorry, it's my manager.
Oh, no problem.
I think I'm a little late for another interview.
We'll wrap this up. But yeah, some of my favorite moments were sitting down with the vinyl or the cassette and thumbing through it while I listened to the record. And I think that is a lost art at this point in time. Absolutely. So, Taylor, I thank you for taking some time, taking over our lunch, giving me an hour off, May 4th, this Tuesday. And
enjoy your break.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to all your tunes and hearing maybe some stories and you introducing. Don't be too good, because I don't want to lose my job.
I promise you I'm not that good, although my song choices are pretty good, but awesome. I'm not stealing your job anytime soon, so no don't problem.
All the best. We hope to see you on the road soon. Looking forward to the next single and video, and best of luck with those allergies, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's a pleasure to, you know, give you a break, and I hope you eat a really good sandwich.
Awesome. I will. Thank you so much. You be good. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. You too, man. Have a good one.
Stay safe.